Before we go back to Pat Caddell, who is my liberal Democrat friend, and he's just as concerned about this country as I am, I want to show you a couple of surveys, a couple of more of these answers from people. As the American Revolution Center took a survey and asked Americans this one. Cut 9. John Locke developed a concept of consent of the governed, an important principle underlying the war for independence. It is a theory known as A, natural law, 2, law of relativity, 3, common law, 4, statutory law, 5, I don't know. That one's a hard one if you're not, really paying attention to things. It's this. It's natural law. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty. It is nature's law, that there is a God or nature that you can't thwart. That is critical to understanding why what we're setting up will not work and is patently un-American, or anti-American, I should say, not un-American. Let's go to the next one. Cut 4, please. When did the American Revolution begin? Was it the 1770s, 1640s, 1490s, or 1800s? 65% got that one right. The American Revolution, July 4th, 1776. Only 65% got that right. 81% got this one. Who sang the songs Beat It and Billie Jean? Elvis, Bruce Springsteen, NSYNC, Michael Jackson, don't know. 81% got that one right. Pat, how can we defend something if we don't even know what we're defending?
We need to know the specifics, but let's not forget, Glenn, in that same survey, they found overwhelmingly that the concepts of freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, those basic elements, people held to very strongly. They believe it was the core. They knew what we the people are. They knew what the idea of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness was. There's no excuse for not being taught or learning the specifics, but the concepts they hold, and they believe the American Revolution is important to them. Now, most of them thought they would pass really well. They didn't. Well, they need to be told that, and they need to understand it's a challenge to learn more. But they do get the fundamentals, and they need to be pointed out where their fundamentals now are being taken away by both parties and by power and money serving itself. And I believe that this is the issue of our time. And as Lincoln said, it is not with any politicians, it is not even a president, but with the people themselves, whether this nation will survive to the latest generation.
Pat, thank you very much. We'll talk again back in a minute with a preview of an incredible documentary that we are producing. We have spent the last week closing the case on our focus of the past year, and that was trying to figure out what's going on in our country. Americans, when I started this broadcast a year ago next week, people didn't even understand. I didn't even understand where we were headed. We were trying to wake people up. Well, now we're awake. So now the question is, what do we do now? Well, we have to educate ourselves. We have to know about the truth. We have to know the truth about us. We have to remember it. We have to activate ourselves. But we also have to learn the truth about where an out-of-control government has led humankind in the past and its connections to progressivism. Well, a week from Friday, we're going to air a special detailing events that most Americans have never heard about. Images that no one has ever seen, or almost no one. I've never seen these images before. They're stories that most people don't want to know. It's going to be a hard, hard hour. But you need to grab your children and your grandchildren. I mean, I got to warn you, you don't want the young kids watching this one. But you have to watch this, because it will show you the true history, and we will tie it into what's coming our way, possibly all around the globe. A quick warning as I show you a preview of this: some of this material is disturbing.
A lot of people seem to think that this concept of the gas chamber as a tool of social policy was invented by the Nazis. It wasn't.
To his places of work, to his places of recreation. We will attack the enemy wherever he lives. He preempted Al-Qaeda by 30, 40 years.
Within 1 year, several million people. I believe it is certainly comparable to the great genocides of the 20th century.
My family was in the living room watching television, and they see my grandfather. Of course, they're happy, to see him walking, and they realized that he was walking towards the wall.
It wasn't a mistake. It was intentional policy to exterminate people.
He said that his dream was to become a killing machine.
A great teacher, great leader, Chairman Mao.
Planned and premeditated mass murder.
And nobody was interested in knowing about it.
If you're not producing as much as you consume, or perhaps a little more, your life does not benefit us, and it can't be of very much use to yourself.
This is the first documentary that I have produced, and you won't let your kids wear a Che t-shirt ever after this, and your kids won't want to wear one. These people are as despicable as Hitler, but for some reason they have been cleansed in our memory and in our history book. Some way or another, Stalin and Mao don't seem that bad, and somehow or another, Che is on a t-shirt, and people travel down to Cuba, and people in our own Congress say that, well, really, the things in Cuba weren't that bad. Fidel, I looked into his eyes. Really? You'll look into their eyes a week from Friday, and you're not going to like what you see. Be right back. It was one of the most powerful shows we have done on this broadcast. It was one of the most talked about, and definitely one of the most passionate shows. Do you remember this?
Fundamental issue with America, the content of our character. I mean, the very thing that God gave us to hold us together is the very thing that tears us apart.
We have to expose the diabolical agenda of liberalism. It's corrupting the black community.
I would like to change the image of what black and conservative actually means.
To say that he's just the president and not just the black president. He is the black president who is being protected and defended to a fault by the black community.
I've been called a redneck racist, a teabagger. I was attacked by Garofalo a few weeks ago. And you know what I say to all of them? When you bring me something that actually means something, I'll respond to it. Nobody defines me but me.
Okay, these are just a group of honest Americans concerned for their country. I promised them at the time that I was going to invite the audience members back for a continuation of the discussion. So here it is. Set your DVRs for this Friday night at 5 p.m. Eastern. Time to be heard. Content of character. Only on the Glenn Beck program. We will see you there this Friday night, and then a week from Friday will be our special on communism that you will never, ever forget. From New York, good night, America.